May call to order this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees for Wednesday, March 18th. For everybody to stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before us, we have our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow trustees or department heads?
Mr. Chairman, under concerns of trustees, I would like to add COVID-19 operations.
Okay. Any other additional changes?
I need to remove approval of minutes.
Okay. Further, the agenda will stand as amended. First thing we have is under new business.
And I just added that as a safety precaution. We do have a meeting next Tuesday, so I don't know if the board feels today the need to set an additional meeting before that date. I just wanted to give you the flexibility to be able to talk about it.
I mean, honestly, at this point, as much as this is evolving, I mean, it's why we set this meeting, given how things have culminated just over the last week and a half, knowing we're headed into Tuesday, barring no major changes, I think we just stay with the Tuesday, and then we're gonna have to be flexible as a board and team, I think, if the need determines a special meeting. That's just my opinion.
I would agree with that. I think right now, but I think we have to be set up that if something does unfold that needs board action or direction, we need to have the ability to be able to do that, just for us to be able to do business. So I think we should. Actually, that's one of the things I had in my list of things that I want to bring up. That I don't expect any decisions tonight, but I think, or today, but I think we seriously need to be thinking about those between now and the next meeting as to how we're going to facilitate all this stuff if and when it unfolds.
Well, John, I can tell you that I looked at that a little bit under the code. And so we obviously have our ability to do a special meeting within 24 hours as we're doing here today. But aside from that, we also have the ability to call an emergency meeting. Now, I will caution you that that's not typically for regular township business.
Correct.
You know, we're not gonna call it an emergency meeting to pay bills or to do, that's not what that's for. But if something should happen on the COVID-19 outbreak or something like that, we do have the ability to meet, and the only requirement is that we give those that we notify immediate notice, and then we're meeting. So keep that in mind, that you do have some flexibility there.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I, at least for my peace of mind and the board's, because if for nothing else, it got us all reading things now.
Yeah.
Because again, we've never had to apply these to the extent that the application is going now. So I did the same thing and I thought, okay, I feel comfortable with that. I noticed there was the addressing of what you would call a regular meeting or a special meeting.
That's right.
And it looked to me like even in a special meeting, you can go into executive session.
You can.
Not an emergency meeting.
Correct.
That is
So, as we look at whatever action we want to do, probably how we define what it is that we're meeting for, will be able to tell us how we want to do that 24-hour notification for what business are we going to do.
That's right.
I'm totally comfortable.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I'll have this on the next meeting because I do think it's a good practice that during this time we meet weekly, just if everything's status quo, to pay bills. And so we don't get caught in a situation.
I would
So I'll put
agree.
this on our next meeting.
The more regular business we can conduct within that period of time, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, the direction that things are going now. If 2 days from now, somebody in here presents positive, we are all going to be quarantined.
That's right.
Yeah. And
No ifs, ands, or buts.
And that's where the teleconference conferences.
Exactly.
Yes, and I
So-
have that on the
Slash
agenda
WebEx
to
is
discuss.
Exactly.
coming
Yeah,
in, so.
yeah, perfect. Well,
So-
that's the, oh, sorry, that's all I have for new business.
Good. Excellent.
That'll conclude the business. It'll take us to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of pending warrants in the amount of $295,656.33.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
It's a time.
I'm a polygamist, that's okay.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the investment report, which we'll probably see a dip in the interest.
I'd say
income
we
this
see
year.
that
Oh, I want to see it.
change ever so
Yeah,
slightly.
it's going to be a rough one.
Still, this got the cash still working on earning something.
Yeah, we have some of the portfolio and longer investments, so we still have a decent rate for those, but short term's very low. Fiscal Officer number 5 is the bank reconciliation for February. If anyone has any questions, I'll be available after the meeting. Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the additional benefits of longevity pay to members of the Utility Workers Union of America, AFL-CIO Local 561, to meet the requirements of the attached schedule effective April 1, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request for a resolution to authorize the fiscal officer to pay vendors and utility bills and include them on the pending warrant list of the next regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And Fiscal Officer number 8 is a request for a new liquor license from Dolgen Midwest LLC, DBA Dollar General Store, located at 7783 Cleveland Avenue, North Canton, Ohio, 44720.
Have we been able to hand this over to the sheriff's office, just to,
Yeah, they didn't have any issues with it.
Okay.
say we just move it on?
Great.
Okay, that concludes the Fiscal Officer report.
Okay. We'll take us back to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the use of teleconference public meetings per the Ohio Attorney General during a state of emergency as attached.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion. So I know we're still working through who the vendor would be for that, to make sure, even though meetings typically aren't that highly attended, should something come up, say a hot zoning topic that draws a crowd out of it, clearly a hot issue related to the current environment. We've got to make sure we've got the bandwidth capacity to accommodate anybody.
Yeah, that wants to call in to listen, including the public, yes. So,
You guys will be providing.
yeah, we'll have hopefully an update at the next meeting, yeah. But that includes also if, it was just a meeting of the board, somebody's sick during this time only, could telephone in also. But again, it would also provide the public a number to call in so that they could hear whoever was sick.
So could that system be used for general communications, not including any official business? But
No,
let's
it's
say,
only for public meetings
now when you say that,
during a state of emergency.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if everybody's out sick, and all of of you department heads wanna communicate
Yes,
collectively, could you not use that same system
yeah,
for that?
yes.
Oh, like your Thursday,
Yes.
like
So,
your
I-
we
like
all-
your stuff.
All I'm saying is, I realize there's an official component
Oh, yeah,
that we have to follow, jump through all the hoops, but then there's an informal
oh,
component.
yeah,
I mean, that'd be no
That-
different than the WebEx.
Exactly.
right. That's what we do now is the
Yeah.
WebEx. Yeah,
Right.
Eric,
Do we, this recording is typically put out after the fact.
yes.
Do we have the capability to live stream the
Actually,
recording?
I think we had talked about that before, and I think
Is there some type
there was,
of,
I thought there was some capacity challenges. I
Okay.
don't recall exactly what they were, but,
Yeah,
you know, we had looked at, when we instituted whether we had one host program coming over here, let's challenge with them as well. Hey, we could probably do a portion of your meeting, and then once we're out of school, so that sort of mix that. Well, then, this recording was essentially the route that came about.
'Cause-
I mean,
it's pretty clear from the guidance we're getting from the state that during this time, it's considered normal or considered appropriate to even not have, you know, obviously public speaks and that kind of stuff. And so my question would be, do we really need to be concerned about all that bandwidth right now? Because really, all the time for attorney conferences, we get an AT&T number and you call in and you're on speakerphone and there can be as many people as you
yeah,
as
as
you
long
need to.
as the public has to be given the number, because they have to be able to call in and hear.
Is that true right
Yes.
now?
It is,
Okay.
yep,
It sounds like it from all
It
the
is,
stuff that
yeah.
I've read, there has to be some mechanism that you don't want to exclude one single person,
correct.
that if for nothing else, not to say anything, but to be there listening to everything that's going on.
Right. So even if we live streamed and
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
somebody was sick,
It
let's
even, it
say,
even says telephonically.
yes, even
Okay.
if we live streamed and Scott was out sick, he could telephone in, but everybody would have to hear his telephone
Correct.
in too.
Okay.
So everybody has to be able to hear the whole system, that's why we did
There's
that.
a lot of this to absorb, but that's the way it
the
sounds to
challenge
me.
is with most of those telecom.
Yeah, they're limited to,
Yeah.
right.
Well, if you're gonna want the unlimited, it definitely comes with associated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if it's just gonna crash for everybody. 'cause
No,
the-
Maslin used it and it worked well, they just did their meeting like that.
And how many public officials were on the line?
Well, they
versus-
have more than we do, they have
Right.
all the council people, the mayor,
They all attended
they all
telephonically?
attended telephonically,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So it gives us the ability, we're not set up for it yet, but that's what we're working on.
Okay.
All right.
So that's what that resolution is.
So, no further discussion, roll call?
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes,
Thank you. Item number 2, and again, you don't have to have a decision today, I just wanted to put it on there, and then, again, we could move it to another meeting, but is to talk about extending any type of programming closures. I know we're through April 5th.
Correct.
Honestly, I still think, the number of meetings, Tuesday plus the fourth Tuesday
Yeah.
of the month, that's still essentially a week out. I think I'd be more comfortable sitting on that, because I don't wanna keep doing, okay, we're gonna do 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Correct.
Yet, we see information that comes state, federal, from whatever governing authority, and saying, hey, for the next 2 months, that way,
Yeah.
once the
Yeah.
information's
Changes
pushed,
hourly,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
And I'll put it on the next meeting too, just in
Correct.
case it,
Exactly.
there'll be a couple that we'll just keep seeing.
As long as the communication line is open from us to
Yes.
all those people that it's affecting,
Yes,
that we say, okay, right now, this date is still consistent, however,
yes,
depending on how fluid this thing gets, that's gonna be pushed out, because I think all those people right now are accustomed to status quo right now.
yes,
They're gonna be more surprised that it is open than it's not
correct.
opening.
Yeah.
We have a line of communication we set up that we, once a week, are sending basically a 100-word update.
Yep.
Yeah,
It can be as simple as 2 lines and say, as of now, date told, we are keeping aware of a very fluid situation, we'll be in touch as the situation changes.
But I agree, I don't
How's
push
that, I
it.
mean, how have people been, we're not finding.
I've gotten absolutely 0 complaints. As a matter of fact, when we did reservations, I got thank you saying, hey, just thanks for letting us know, we
Yeah.
appreciate it. As far as the programming one, I got a total out of over 2,000 users of the system. I got a total of 3 mails back asking about refunds. I said, we're not refunding because we're looking at reschedule, not cancellation. And they were completely fine with that. They had 0 issue with it. So everybody understands. I think everybody's in the same boat, given that the OHSA is holding a press conference tomorrow at noon anyway. I think people from youth on up have
Yeah.
expected the crunch. I think it's just the reality of
Yeah.
where we're at.
The reality is if it's non-essential,
Mhm.
too bad.
And everything's changing hour by hour.
yeah, and I did forget to say in the resolution before that the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, the clerk of court's office, and the recorder's office is closed to the public, but they're still operating business, yeah. All right, and that is the end of administrator.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Take us to the fire department, chief.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment for rescue craft and accessories from Rock and Rescue per attached quote not to exceed $5,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize reimbursement to Adam Reardon, the amount of $400 for the healthcare membership according to collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Second. Second, it's Harless.
Any further discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of 7 iPads from Verizon Wireless not to exceed $4,500.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay, item number 4 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize purchase and payment of 20 AB3000 SCBA masks from Finley Fire Equipment in the amount not to exceed $7,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to offer conditional employment pending Ohio Police and Fire exam and pre-employment drug screening to Matthew Brown and a final interview.
I will move on FD number 5.
I'll second.
Discussion,
I think this kind of just shows the value of having part-time people that you can observe, you can get feedback from their interaction, evaluations, all that kind of stuff, and it's just the perfect fit that when an opening occurs, you go back to those people who have shown that, and you give them a full-time position.
He's a quality young man, is in the service, and he's done well for us part-time.
no further discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
That concludes fire department. Thank you.
Now takes the road department, Joe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to direct the Plain Township Highway Superintendent to place an advertisement for bids for road materials in a newspaper published in Stark County on March 26th and April 2nd, with the bids to be received and open on April 16th at 12:30 p.m.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize the purchase of a pony wool structure and frame and anchors from Clearspan in the amount of $14,539.63.
So move.
Second.
Discussion, Joe, this is our goal with salt,
Yes, this will
salt
be,
storage and let you chime in a little further. Essentially, this will give us the capacity to store, because our current facilities, given their age and so forth, are gonna require some repairs.
Right.
One, and two, you just can't leave piles of salt out because the whole unfunded mandates of the EPA and stormwater and runoff and so forth, you've got to make sure.
It'll be a secondary salt structure that'll hold around 1,000 ton. We know that we haven't used enough salt in this past winter, and this will avoid us from having to pay rent basically on salt stored at the mine. We've already worked out 1,000 tons, so this will get us to our number that we need to be at. And this will all be put together in-house and built. So,
Well, I think the important piece is, we're talking about limited salt usage this year, which, hey, great, we joke about anti-snow dance or whatever, but we have had a couple winters. What was it? Was it going back 3-4 years ago when the state had done their program that we did participate in, thank God?
right.
And we had a number of surrounding communities that couldn't get salt. At least here, one, we'll have the capacity to get what we need still.
Right.
In those situations, or to be a good partner with some of our neighboring townships.
Which
Hey,
has happened, and we also downsized our amount for next year on our bid. I cut it more than half, because I have all this salt sitting this year, so we probably won't even, if we have to order much at all next year, unless we get really hammered, so.
Because
This is gonna help set
we
us
have
up.
to take 80% of it,
80%
right?
of it, right, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees authorize the purchase of the concrete blocks for the plumbing structure wall from Diana Supply.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now take us to the Parks Department, Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you. Item number 1, and the only one on the agenda, is just maybe a new employee probation protocol. I know I had spoken to John just kind of offhand about other things and mentioned this. So John asked me to put it on the agenda so we could discuss the idea of, in a unique situation, in an environment like we're in, what would be the best protocol or best practice for bringing on and getting settled a new employee, given all the recommendations we currently are under. So I guess I wanted to bring it to discussion and allow folks to weigh in on it. We are currently prepared to onboard a new employee as of Monday. Paperwork is in my hand to make the exchange tomorrow. Uniforms are in. On our end, we are prepared to take on the employee. Given this really unique time, I wanted to make sure I was doing the right methodology and approach to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a special circumstance. Normally, this would be business as usual. I was a little worried about, does this particular situation we're in now change things? Unless I see something different, I don't see that it changes things. I mean, we already approved the hiring of it. He already had a start date, and my consensus would be to still move forward. Absolutely.
Cool. We will continue to do so.
Nothing in the hall director, nothing in communications. Brings us to the portion of the meeting, public speaks. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to address the Board of Trustees, state your name and address. Is there anybody?
Yes. Yeah, my
Need your
name is,
name.
I don't have to go up or?
No, you don't, you can stay right
Just need
there.
your name and
Yeah.
address. for the
Fine.
record.
My name is Emery Barish. I don't come too often, but I found out about the meeting accidentally because I was scheduled a different day. But anyway, I'm concerned about the yard waste situation. I read it in a newspaper last week that, well, actually, last time I was over here, I was suggesting that why don't we do like Jackson Township, just have the township people haul the waste instead of everybody, you know, whoever wants to. And my question is, how come Jackson Township's prices are $10, ours gonna be $25, and they open theirs already this week, and we're not gonna open ours till May? And as far as I'm concerned, you know, I like to start hauling stuff already, like if I trim my trees, I don't have no place to put it, I cannot burn it, you know, so what am I supposed to do with it? I'm hoping, you know, I can pile it up, because sometimes rodent goes under it, I don't like to do it. But I'd like to address the question, why is Jackson Township is $10, ours is $25?
Well, actually, I'm gonna start off here. First of all, $25 is a nominal fee. That your alternative options are private refuge, pay a landscaper. There is nowhere that you're gonna get this service for $25 a year. Our $25 is based upon the actual cost factors that went into it. The difference between Jackson Township and Plain Township, first of all, is Jackson Township, because of deals that they have with the city of Canton on the economic front, provides them with additional revenue streams that we don't have, that they're likely using to help subsidize the cost of that. So that to the price component. Specific to the opening, once we do our winter shutdown, we have it outside of Christmas trees for a week or a week and a half. We've never opened before the end of April to the beginning of May. So that being said, Lisa, I want to piggyback off. I know you've got a little bit of additional insight on the Jackson Township, especially regarding I think it was the first year.
Well, yeah, the first year they didn't open in April. They actually had, I don't think they opened until June because they had issues. You know, it takes a lot to set up the gates, to set up the system, to do the card system. So us opening in May gives us enough time to make sure everything's in place also. And Jackson Township also has 4,000 users. Of
Right,
their cards.
I got that information.
And right now we have maybe 300.
Well,
So,
what I was,
but it's our first year, and so the board set those costs on how to make it even feasible in the township. And it's something that, you know, we talked about reviewing to see, is it paying for, you know, itself? But we're just very different situations than Jackson Township, you know.
because I know we have a lot of people, I mean, I see it coming and going when I'm coming drop off once in a while. You know, I mean, if we would have like a lower fee, I wonder if we would have more people
I don't think so.
to sign up.
This is the first complaint that we've had about the yard waste. Actually, last year, people were telling us they pay $100 for a card, they pay $50 for a card, they pay anything to have it open, so
Well, I
it is a
mean,
nominal fee.
See, I have, well, I'm an elderly myself. I had people who said, they want to charge $25. I mean, for some people, say that's quite a bit. I understand what you're saying. If I gotta haul it someplace,
Correct.
that would cost me a lot more. But you know, when I see it, that like another township next door said they charge $10, and they said they charge like $300 each load to haul away, earth and wood. Or,
We pay the same thing as Jackson does for
Right,
wood.
right, that's what I'm saying. I said, you know, why would ours cost, you know, I mean, as a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, somebody said, you see that it's gonna cost you $25. I said, it's not that bad. He said, well, yeah, maybe yes, maybe no, you know.
But the board has to be able to pay from that fee for the gates and the cards and everything that made that yard waste possible, so.
I understand.
System.
Because the alternative is, and I preached this from day one as soon as the Joint Solid Waste District said this, our other option, we don't have anything at all. And so, between Eric and Road and Parks and our collective staff, we actually looked at a couple different haulers, and the biggest challenge with the other haulers that would even remotely entertain and want to talk to us, they couldn't handle potentially the potential volume. So they didn't even, they said they'd commit, I don't wanna say it wasn't even a 1 year, it was,
Correct.
hey, we can take up to X, but once we hit that threshold, well, I'm not gonna push out a program that says, hey, we're gonna take your $10, $25, or whatever the fee was before we had determined it, and then say, oh, sorry, by the way, we gotta shut it back down because nobody wants to take it. The
Well, I'm
more-
hoping that people are gonna, volunteer, and get the cards. And I'm sure once the season comes in, I would have liked to see it just a little bit open earlier. That's my personal situation that I like to do some work on the yard. Of course, somebody say, oh, you're old, you ain't got nothing else to do, but, I like to get it because, yeah, I got some trees I gotta trim and all that, and once I trim it, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I gotta wait till May, it's, a little bit late, that's why I can't, it's no possibility to open it earlier, that's what I try to say.
Yeah, especially at this point, especially this year, not just being first year of a standalone. The
Yeah.
fact that we're cutting any type of non-essential service, and this would fall under that umbrella right now. I think in the past, John, you've been on the board 5 years? This is year 5?
Yeah.
If we have a major storm that comes through and stuff
Oh,
like
I
that,
understand
we've
that. I
made
see.
accommodations for
Yeah.
there, but, situationally and looking historically, it's been the end of April, the beginning of May that we go into it. And then the thing is that now, we're gonna do, it's what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Or that's right, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we hit a little bit of the week, plus a weekend.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, once the season picks up and people wanna come over, they're gonna buy the cars. I was just wondering, what's the comparison,
Yeah,
so.
what we
Yeah.
don't wanna do though is open it up early, given
Mhm.
the circumstances now, because we're trying to keep people out of the office. And
I understand that.
And then we'd have, hundreds of people coming in right now, given this situation. That's
Yeah.
just not a possibility.
Which, for the record, folks can still download the application.
Yes, they can do it all
fax
online.
Email it in,
Yeah.
or whatever to us, but we're
Yeah.
still not at a point where we're gonna release the cards.
Mhm.
And
Without seeing.
And the
that.
math is never gonna add up, that's the problem. So for us, this is kind of a test,
Okay,
to
I
see-
understand.
where it's gonna go, how many cards we're gonna sell. But think about this for a minute. Right now, if we have 400, that's $1,000 that we have collected from the users.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even gonna cover 1 month,
No.
As I say, that
not
basic-
1 month.
I understand,
So,
And like I said, I'm
again-
pretty sure once the season goes along,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some,
So we kind of looked at that because we had a lot of people call in and say, please do not do away with the program.
Oh, absolutely,
We
I'm
are
glad
more
of
than
that.
willing to pay our share. And
Okay,
then in some conversations, it's like, what do you think would be a fair share? And of
Okay.
course, we got some ridiculously that said, I think it should be free, just give us a card to get in the gate. We can't sustain that.
no, I understand that,
So,
nothing free, I know.
For me, I still think it's a good bargain. I look at it and say, who is going to have the opportunity to go to a site on a scheduled time at just about any time they want to be able to get in that gate, offload their load, leave for $25 a year?
No, I
You know,
was just
for me-
questioning, the comparison to the,
Sure.
when I see it, it's like, okay, those people already started and they can go, I think, 4 or 5 days a week, for.
This will be a good beta test for us.
You know.
And, I appreciate your input, because obviously, as, we try to at least listen to people from an accommodation standpoint.
Well, I just had the question,
But-
why?
But we did talk about that. We did
Okay.
talk about, possibly, maybe we could move it a little early. Unfortunately, and I'm not making excuses, but then this coronavirus stuff
I
hit.
understand that,
And we're like,
Yeah,
how do we now start having more people coming into the office wanting to get a card now, and how does that, subject our employees
Yeah.
to the potential for that social distancing, now they want to call it physical distancing.
Well, hopefully, we don't have it,
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody have it that to pass it on while I'm,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it goes away
So,
soon, but, I understand your concern, and, I got a family and everybody concerned,
We are listening.
So, well, I just had the question about it.
Sure.
You, answered it, more or
The
less.
thing is if
you
you've
know,
got,
what's our situation?
if there's changes that come outside of when, getting it to the press, because even though the press doesn't necessarily attend every meeting, because we video record and we post it out online, it'll either get picked up through the press. That way, if we make some type of change or announcement, we'll post it on the township website, social media.
See, me, I don't mess with a computer too much.
yeah.
I like it in a newspaper if it's possible.
Well, that's where,
That's where I usually get my information.
Sure.
My kids on the internet, I'm not, I'm good, internet guy, so, on a computer, I'm not good at
also,
it.
we try to hit all the
Yeah, like it's on a newspaper, that's where I usually get my information. So, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anybody else on the public speaks? Okay, that'll take us to concerns of trustees.
Okay, so, thank you for that. So,
Have a great
obviously,
day.
if this was an emergency of any kind, we would operate in basically two modes. We either be in rescue mode or we'd be in recovery mode. Nobody likes to differentiate between those two modes. Our nature is to always be in rescue mode. That's our nature. We always want to do. We're going to do whatever we can to help. We're going to do whatever we can to provide service back to citizens. And this is just my personal belief, but I think we're in recovery mode right now. I think we're to that point where we have to look at it and say, we can't do business as usual. We are in a different 1 week or 2 week period or whatever. And we've done some really proactive things, and I appreciate all you guys doing it, but it's not gonna stop. For the next couple weeks, we're still gonna be in recovery mode. So, how we do things, how we think about how we're gonna do things is gonna be different than what we would normally do. And like I say, I wasn't being a wise guy when I said, if 2 days from now, one of us gets a positive result, we're all done. So I think we need to be thinking about how we're going to accommodate that kind of stuff. We've already done one, and that's meetings, and I can scratch that off. So I guess my next thing is, are we going to start to close our buildings to the public walking in? At what point in time, we've already done it to some buildings. So, do we want to, so I guess risk versus benefits, what are we going to lose if we somehow communicate something? I'm not suggesting we do this right now, I'm just throwing all this out for thought.
Well, we might have to do it pretty soon. The death toll in Ohio doubled, in the US doubled overnight, so.
But I think it's something that, I'm looking around, the city of Newark, for example, they closed all their fire stations to the public. Nobody is going to walk through a fire station door. It's listed in the newspaper, it's communicated out, it's posted on the doors.
Even if they've got an emergency.
That's totally
Okay,
different.
I'm just-
Yeah, no, that's
just for
totally
clar-
different.
just for
Yeah,
clarification.
yeah, again, that's totally different. That's, routine traffic in and out. So they just basically locked that area down. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
I'd like to close my doors to the public, other than deliveries for parks.
No offense, but outside of emergencies, walking into the fire department, there shouldn't be anything, and I'm just gonna start looking around. If somebody needs a permit or something like that, no offense, this is where government catches up with the technology curve, as far as I'm concerned, and it's not just a short-term practice.
Right.
It becomes the common practice moving forward, because, it will help improve accessibility, turnaround. It's gonna require us to evolve, redefine some of our processes, and policies, but I mean, how many of us, whether you're shopping on Amazon or whatever, God, I'm so busy today, if I could just go online here to do this versus that. I mean, think about what we've done with parks and the software programming, even where we've had incidents where, quite frankly, somebody goes, hey, I wasn't able to get by, I need to drop off my payment. No offense, and Tom, you can keep me in the guardrails here. At some point, we just pull the trigger on credit cards. And if it's a pass-through on fees, it's pass, because there is nothing that is not reasonably worked around. Just because it's not common practice right now, doesn't mean that we don't take it. Oh, well, they're not gonna like paying $1.05 for a credit card transaction. Well, guess what? It's a convenience. And
Yeah, they don't mind paying
and I'm
the
just,
marks,
I'm just,
but
and I'm
you're
not,
right.
and I'm not saying they do.
Right.
I'm just saying,
You're right.
these are things
Agreed.
where
It's a convenience.
it's, it's the whole
You're paying for
catching
convenience
government,
when you-
not that we're operating in the Stone Ages, because we know a lot of folks look to us for operational best practices, but we're still not probably fully optimized, and I'm sure having, say, credit and debit card transaction activity is actually better than cash handling from a number of things. Regardless of the coronavirus or not, money's dirty when it comes down to, because where people store it, and I bet none of us would touch it if you really knew the history, to, from an audit and tracking aspect,
Right.
that's probably more important than anything. So, as I look around,
Well,
I mean,
you're right, and in admin, we're getting nailed with people coming in, for cards, and there's gotta be interaction with people, and it's just, I think it just needs to stop for now. It can be done online, and if they can't, when we're open back up, they can come in and we'll give them their card that day if they do it in the
well, I
office
think,
with
and I think
cash.
that's where we, if we've got to schedule certain times, so, okay, yeah, we have normal business hours, but hey, if you come in between 10 and 12, 10 and 2, whatever, we have somebody dedicated to it, so it's,
Yeah, but that's still.
We still have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
They can't get through the gate for
No.
another 5
And I
weeks.
think
Still
for the
exposing
next,
people to the public.
for whatever day you pick,
It's hard.
but
we
I'm
just.
not just talking
Yeah.
about, I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about, for
Because
the
we can
sake of
mail,
the coronavirus period.
Well, we can't
I'm still
mail.
No,
talking
we
about
can mail
operational.
zoning permits
Correct.
out. We can mail, they can mail in, permits can come out, payment can come in. It's
We've
only the cards that would be affected.
We've actually had the ability to, in our online system, let's say a coach is collecting fees before they pay that transaction online and they're struggling, we've been able to bypass the system, get the registration in,
Yeah.
and then attach the bill to their account so that as they come to it, they can pay, because we know how to track it, and we do. But we've had zero issue with taking money either later, having it mailed in, or reassessing the fee once the coach has been collected from the parents or whatever. So there are ways to work around even an online system. Any system you have, Tom, if I'm wrong, you can yell at me, but even the ones that you picked for us, the 2 we're using,
Yeah.
has the ability to override it from an admin side to allow the process to take place and still deal with the transaction of it at a later time.
So in reality, the only routine business that we're gonna be looking at right now is the gate cards and zoning.
On anybody coming in, what, pay parking?
Parking fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can mail those in though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can require that. I think, from a department head perspective, are there any major functional
Now,
activities that?
all my permits are online, everything online. And other than delivery of parts, we got salesmen that come through that door all the time trying to sell stuff. We gotta stop all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, a simple note on the door
We
will,
already did that,
Same here.
but I wanna make it official,
Yep.
for anybody else that's coming in, so.
I just think
If it's somebody you need and want to talk to, tell them, hey, we'll set up a teleconference, WebEx, whatever.
exactly.
That's, God, that's what, I can work at home through the 27th with my normal job. Everything already was common practice of WebEx conference calls. Systems may become a little more strained, which I don't see that happening here. But, again, these are just good operational best practices. How many times, okay, hey, I can't travel to China or Italy or wherever. how many people just in the normal course of business pre-coronavirus
Mm-hmm.
were already doing conference calls, WebEx, Skype,
Tons of
whatever.
people now.
You know,
Facebook, Facebook.
that should have, that's just a common practice, that if we haven't adopted, well then, here's the standard protocol for.
I honestly think if we go to that extent and we give them, we don't just put a note on the door saying we're closed.
No, it's gotta
If
be clear.
we, exactly. We are no longer, we are trying to limit face-to-face contact. We know whatever your business is important to you and to us. So here's what you need to do next, whether it's a phone number, whether, because if somebody has a question, they're calling in now anyhow.
Correct.
Well, I mean,
So-
the county's already done it, we can
Exactly.
easily, they're
It's-
still, it's just we're closed to the public,
Exactly.
but we're still working everything.
I just don't want nothing, I don't want this sense of urgency and the time of response to get lost in this, because we have, you know, we've all said this before. We're a service delivery corporate business is what we are. And
We're not stopping service. We're doing it a different way, temporarily. That's all.
I just got that ready in case, so you had it.
As far as that goes, as I pointed out to you yesterday,
Yes.
because people are locked down, they're doing only things that are free, which means there are actually more people in the parks than there typically are. And my guys have been reasonably so apprehensive because they've been stopped several times and tapped on the back when they haven't seen them coming because they've been working somewhere. And I've asked them, if you're out and you know you're going to be out and could potentially interact, wear a respirator, wear something at this point
You can't
because.
close, I mean, they're encouraging people to go outside,
100%.
you can't
I'm
close
not
the
asking to
parks.
close the park.
but-
I gotta tell you, I'm more of the mindset, yes, you have to take certain proper,
Precautions, yeah.
but we also can't stop
Correct.
living.
I'm not asking that, I'm just pointing out that I've asked my
Yeah.
folks to wear respirators.
Till the data says
Yeah, and I
something
heard,
different.
I heard, that's, when I was
Correct.
down there
Yep.
yesterday.
Yeah.
That data right now is saying it's that closeness.
And I believe the other, and I could be wrong, the other closures, they didn't give a reopen date on their businesses, like the other county
Correct.
offices, because they don't know, and once you
Correct.
can open, you know, that'll go out. In this case, on public offices, I'd recommend that too, because if you say till April 5th, and then you decide to extend it, we don't have a way to get to everybody like Rob's system does. We can't get to 48,000 citizens, so. you know.
So, John, underneath your additional points, so close it.
So I'm just gonna pass this over while I'm talking. Can we just include something in that resolution that we say for the duration of the COVID-19?
I would prefer that we leave it the way it is and we have another resolution to reopen.
Okay,
Because then there's no question.
yeah,
You know, because people can argue about when that is.
all right,
What it's for, because if there's some mutation. it
I'm good.
becomes-
If you're good, I'm good. My next thing is beta testing. So, and again, I don't understand what all we've set up to be able to do things at home, okay? But Tom, you and I talked about this the other night, you know, regarding some other issues. Have we tested that system?
We tested the Web Express where we can talk to each other. And I know I've been off, but I have been working from home because of this, just as much as if I would have been here. That's been working for us. I think on our end we are. I think the question more is to fiscal because we've gotten their laptops set up. Are we missing a component that they would need or are they set? Because I know I've told everybody here, you bring everything home, you act as if it's your last day so you can operate from home.
Yeah, I told them to work with Eric on doing a test, make sure
And so,
everything's.
I mean, where we're at now, obviously, we had to react as quickly as possible. It's still in development. What we have in place now, and what I've articulated to our critical staff members, is that if they were to work remotely and have forgotten something, say a file, for instance, I'm always available. I can remote in and I can make those available. So what I've talked to all of our department heads about and our administrative assistants is making sure that we have our mission critical things. We don't need to take everything home. It's like going on a trip. You don't take every article of clothing that you own with you, you take the essentials, and that's where we're at right now. So I'm confident that we can handle all of our primary tasks remotely offsite. Can we handle everything that we do day to day? No, but we don't need to.
No.
But we
Okay.
can probably still do a majority of them.
Yes, we're
It's not
all,
like
that's
we're
what
at
I mean, that's what I
50%
have
capacity.
everybody
We're
set
at
up to
85,
do.
90%
Yes.
capacity, and you know what, that 5 to 10% is,
Yes.
So are they comfortable with being able to do that? In other words, are we gonna wait for something to happen? And then they're like, oh, I'm really nervous, I don't know a lot about this? Or should we at least create a scenario, send them home for 4 hours and say, try this out?
I mean, in
I
a
say
perfect
yes.
world, absolutely, that would be a great protocol.
we have the time, we have the time.
Let's do it
we have
now,
the time.
let's do it.
Yeah, we, trust me when I tell you, we've been trying to stay ahead of this for no less than the last couple of weeks in establishing hardware, software, and protocols. So, are we done? No, I don't know that we will ever be done.
No, it's difficult in a short period. And I just thought of something, we don't even have to send them home.
No.
We could go into another room and do it,
Correct.
as if they were at
You
home.
know what, though, I'm gonna disagree on that, because it's important to have them off-site, because still with technology, technical
Yeah.
connectivity, we did this at work where we've decentralized a sales operation of approximately 130, 140 individuals. And unfortunately, our core IT staff, who've been rock star champions during all this, had to go to all these different houses, whether it was Akron, New Philly, Canton, North Canton, because most folks were able to get set up successfully. But we even, we were somewhere between a 15–20% that had issues. I mean, as much as I even already knew how to do it work from home, now we see at a different level the strain when folks are trying to WebEx. I couldn't join on an operations leadership meeting yesterday, so that's where.
Having
that's the
said
only reason-
that-
Well, I mean, Verizon
Well,
went down there.
no,
today,
having said that, that makes
calls.
sense, because we're not challenging their internet capability at home.
Yeah, well,
Well, I'm just meaning, that's where
Exactly.
making sure they
Exactly.
operate.
yes.
So
mean, Verizon
it may
did-
work perfect here, but depending on what internet connection they have at home, it might not work.
Yeah, it worked for me at the hospital, but you're right, at home, and we know we have one employee without, she just lives in an area where she doesn't have internet, but her computer
But she has an iPad that has a hotspot
is a
capability, yeah.
hotspot. But you're
Okay.
right, it is something we should test,
All right.
and better test it now than when we're at mission critical.
So are we looking to test it today, tomorrow is the question?
I say what we
With the
do is
enforcement.
they,
Resolution on that, what do we do?
well, no, I have the ability to tell, the administrative assistants, we can start with them, tomorrow, don't come in till noon. We're gonna set up a Web Express, we're gonna try to do some things over the phone, then they come in the second part of the day, and we can work on whatever we need to work on, because we don't know what that is. And I'd rather have them be gone the first part of the morning, come in the second half, and then we'll work through those issues. Probably should do that with, we could do one of your people at a time.
Yeah. And I'm good with that, as long as we are looking at through Tom, through how we're gonna communicate, department heads, and then how fiscal is gonna work and prioritize. I'm good with all, I just don't wanna sit idle with the assumption, well, we got all this technology, so it's gonna be a go,
Yeah.
and then we get out there and we realize it's not near as easy.
Well, that's why we shut ours down Thursday, just because anticipating, we didn't even have corporate directives at that point. We were gonna run it just through Thursday of this week, and since then, with all the evolution in our work, we're going, no, corporate stances, if you have the ability to work remotely, you will. If not, we're gonna identify what needs to be put in place to facilitate that, so.
And Eric and I also work on the conference call meeting. That would be nice to kind of, whether everybody calls in next Tuesday, or we have some people here, and maybe department heads call in and see how it works. We'll take that day by day, but that would be a good thing to test too.
Well, we're supposed to have a work session too, if we're
Oh, yeah.
continuing.
Yeah.
It
But
would
that
be
doesn't mean
interesting,
after-
just a combination, because I will tell you, given we're all WebEx,
Yeah.
it changes up the work dynamics,
Yeah,
just from even the interaction, as much as you'd think,
yeah.
it's the same as, it's not.
And two, I agree with everything. There are going to be challenges, but from the simple standpoint of just the WebEx conferencing, okay? I've worked with the road department, I've worked with the fire department, I've worked with the parks department. We've already seen a disruption in the service. Like, for instance, yesterday, we were testing a meeting at the road department. You couldn't call in, like, they were inundated. I've set up an additional account for the fire department, and they're backlogged to the point where it could be, you know, several days before they have an account. Well, once they get an account, again, if their infrastructure's not capable of handling the influx, we're just not gonna be able to manufacture something overnight. There are
Sure.
going to be challenges.
But I think
And
that's the
that's
point
where
of.
we just simply flush out, hey, guys, here's the constraints, so
Yeah.
if we do have to, and say it's even the leadership team, okay, well, we can accommodate 4 lines, so socially distanced within offices, you can
Yeah.
still,
Yeah, well, and even if the department head knows that they can WebEx with their administrative assistant and their, you know, whoever their foreman or supervisor is, that's good too.
And we also, and there's a lot of discussion to be had, but as far as having meetings or having remote meetings on a routine basis just for updates, the chief and I have discussed it, you know, we need to figure out a good time to have those kind of a fixed location, and I would highly recommend those be after hours, but even after business hours, when you talk about a WebEx type thing, they're global. So just because our business is 8 to 4 doesn't mean that Australia is not using the system. So we want to try to use it at the most optimal time, but challenges are going to present themselves daily. Trust me.
Okay.
So is the board okay with that, if I have the administrative assistants come in afternoon tomorrow and we'll have them set up, Eric, will you work with them to set up Web Express on, or the web meetings on their phone or their tablet, and then the department head just make contact in that morning and give them assignments today that you want done between 8 and 12 tomorrow and see how it goes.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
again, temper all
we
this,
got
with any type of posted communications, whether
Yeah.
it's on the windows, if somebody walks in going, oh, where's anybody?
The more they've
Yeah.
used it, the more comfortable they'll be.
So we need a press statement, or not a press statement, a release.
We'll do a press release right after about the closure.
Did you
And
pass
one
that?
that we-
No, we
Oh, they
have
gotta
not.
pass a resolution, and Eric will put it on our Facebook and on our webpage and,
Communication forums.
yeah, all communication. And then Eric will meet
Okay,
after.
I'm good. Next item.
So,
Sorry, we finished with this?
well, actually,
You wanna do that?
to bring this to
Yeah.
close, just under concerns of trustees, I will make a motion, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to close all Plain Township offices to the public effective immediately.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
I did forget to put one thing under concerns of trustees. Monday, I sat through the Tax Incentive Review Council. Meander Hospitality, which is a hotel in Hampton up on the hill, passed, no problem. Oakwood Square, it passed. Though we did have 2 dissenting votes on that. I had a little bit of, because it's public record, and just knowing there's going to be a letter forthcoming, the 2 dissenting votes were upset that they didn't think they got timely response or acknowledgement from the property manager, so I'm going to communicate that. But some of the stuff that come up in our dialogue, and this was probably about a 10-minute hearing, was what it translated to, you know, the Tax Incentive Review Council down there, Dave Thornley and Mary Jo Slick specifically, who ended up being the objecting parties. Well, we need to know all of the businesses in that plaza, and their employee count, their payroll. I dissented on that. I pushed back. We had previously discussed that. The whole purpose of the tax abatement was for the redevelopment and the attracting of new business. So places like the Bistro, places like Giannino's, and anything else that would have been back there prior to the plaza revitalization should absolutely have 0 bearing. That all being said, they backed off that conversation topic real quick. From a positive aspect, our jobs count, payroll numbers are ahead just with Drug Mart alone. That didn't factor in Mercy and, you know, what we'll have forthcoming with Royal Docks. second brewery that is planning on going into the old Toddy B. So that's what come from it. These are continued, but it was noted on the record down there that if they don't get a more timely response, that they may consider denying the continuation of the tax abatement moving forward. And I think that's a serious comment for them to make because, of course, Mary Jo Slick and her representation of schools, well, they ought to be thanking the schools that, you know, they got this money. And I'm just going to again state publicly because this infuriates me beyond note. You want to take a property that at one point was almost $300,000 behind in property taxes, and in condition, you have somebody has about $6 to $6.5 million tied up back here in the plaza, and you want to argue over the other percentage of potential tax dollars that you've never gotten, that you're not getting now, but yet you're getting something you've never had before. So, as good as, quite frankly, the plaza owners have been in getting this turned around, we all have our nuances. There's no doubt we know that. But for the collective good, I'm going to make sure I have the conversation before they get a letter, because the auditor's office is drafting a letter that we'll get a copy of to review, and then it's going to go to them. I just don't want them blindsided. So,
And this seems to happen to everyone the first year of the CRA. It happened to me under hospitality too, because it's the first time that they're doing a report that nobody trains them on or says, this is
Nobody gives
exactly
them
what
the
we
guidance.
want, and they get no guidance. So it happened to me under. Here we sit. I'm glad that you were there and that you addressed those issues back to them, but I think they did a great job.
yeah.
Could they do better? Apparently on some paperwork, but it shows timely paperwork.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're also growing hugely over there, so it's not the only thing they do is that paperwork.
So that was the only update I had.
I'm glad you were there, Scott.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything
Yeah.
else?
Expenditures, so I think we're good from a department head standpoint with our current rules of what you can spend up to and then what you must get verbal from
Yes.
two trustees. I mean, I looked at it and I thought, I can't think of any scenario where our current system isn't working and wouldn't work under an emergency.
Correct.
So
No, I agree.
I'm good there.
And the board's never said no to an emergency
Correct.
PO because we only
Correct.
use them for emergencies.
I have one question. When I open bids next week, they usually have bidders here, or not, like that?
No, they have to be in,
Okay.
yeah.
just
I mean,
wanted to
that's a
know.
situation, you can't leave them out.
It needs to be done.
Does-
Those bids need to be open publicly read.
Unless we have
Do they?
the
I mean,
conference.
Does it
Yeah.
specifically say?
Yeah. I mean, it
That-
used to be, John, we had to do it at the township trustees meeting.
Oh, no, I
Now we
remember
can do
that.
It
separately
does.
and then reread them at the trustees meeting.
Well, what if you
They
spread
always
these?
let the people that are bidding in so they
Yeah,
can.
we'll just socially distance them, and if somehow we have the conferencing up, I guess he can offer that. He can say, we're gonna do it via conference.
And
But
that's
I don't
only-
know if that's.
It's only
that's-
4 or 5 people.
And when is that again, Joe? I'm sorry. Next week?
The first one's the 26th.
Oh, okay.
So next Thursday.
So that's
Wow.
a paving bid, so.
I wonder if they would postpone.
All right.
Would you want to postpone?
So then, and I know we haven't got to this point yet, but, and I hope we never get to this point, but unfortunately, the data is scary. We just need to be thinking about if we get to the point where employees start to need quarantine, it's gonna be a lengthy process. You get one family of 3, you could literally have that employee quarantined and/or sick for 45 days.
Yeah.
That's just a family of 3. So if first person, boom, gets it, and they have a positive, 2 people in that family are gonna be quarantined there. So they're gonna be quarantined for 14 days. Then if they don't get it, they're gonna go out, and if the other person gets sick, then they're gonna be back being quarantined for 14 days. And
It's a repeated
I,
cycle.
I think we need to be thinking about how we're gonna approach that with our employees. I think right now, from what I'm seeing, is it's the positive result that's gonna be the key to how
Yeah.
we react. If it's not a positive result, it's the regular flu.
Yes.
That's
We're
different.
dealing with that already. We've had a
Exactly,
couple where they
that's
said, I've got a
different,
fever.
totally different.
They've got back to us, oh, tonsillitis and this. Well, okay, then we're operating. We don't want to panic and go, everybody stay home. I mean, you're right, John, it's that
And-
positive test.
And in all fairness, we're all afraid. Our employees are afraid more of the unknown than they are the known. The known is they might get it. The unknown is, how long are they gonna need to be off, and are they gonna have any pay coming in?
They're more afraid of, they don't know if their fellow workers are carriers. You know what I mean? You don't have to show
Guaranteed,
symptoms to
Yeah,
know that.
somebody are pumping up
Guaranteed.
with
And that's a
I-
lot of it. So I got them separated right now in trucks and stuff like that. I don't have them grouping up.
Yeah, everybody's in
But-
their
but
own
also,
truck.
here's
See more trucks on the road than
And I know this doesn't come as any comfort, but if they're in their own house around their family, they're probably comfortable.
Right.
Same thing exists.
Yeah.
No, I
You know,
agree.
so-
It's just they're,
Yeah.
you know, that's the first talk we have every morning.
Yeah, it is scary. I'm not saying, I'm just throwing that out right now. We need to kind of be thinking about how we might facilitate that.
You know, to be fair, all those fears that John mentioned do exist. We've had conversations in my department about it. They
Absolutely.
Right.
They're-
We're cleaning everything as much as possible
Sure.
every day.
While we're on the subject, could we speak to the BZA meetings and the zoning commission meetings? The BZA is going to be much like a trustee meeting, it's an open meeting.
Yeah, once we have the
Yeah, it'll be
teleconference set up, we'll know more, but right now, you know, we're still holding our regular meetings.
Do we have anything on the agenda right now?
There is one coming up on the 1st of April.
With lots of public that would come?
Generally, no, that one might have one person representing.
Okay.
Okay,
It's the big ones we have to look out
Yeah.
for, that we may have to, yeah, we'll take that as it comes. Let's not,
Okay.
you know, plan for something we don't have yet.
and then the last thing I have, which it's just more for discussion, are our seniors. Do we have any way of like communicating out that, you know, we could just get information out to all the rest of the public? Hey, if you know seniors, give them a call, make sure everything's okay, they need anything, try to help them out, you know, because, I mean, we do know they are the absolute most vulnerable. They're not carrying it any more than anybody else. The problem is, they're more susceptible, if they get it, to recovering. So, I mean, I'm so sorry. So, I don't know, can we at least get that in our social media? You know, what about, are there any other groups that you guys are familiar with? Don't we have an AARP group?
Yes, yeah,
So-
Chateau Michelle.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if there's one up right there or not. Good.
Well, just think about it, maybe we can talk about that more at the next meeting, but I'm just thinking that, you know, I'm looking out for the seniors, and then I just kind of realize I'm one of them. And, you know, I keep getting texts from our son and daughter, are you guys okay? Yeah, thanks for checking on us, but yeah, we're okay. I think it would just be nice if somehow we got that out to emphasize that. That's it.
Yeah, I can create a message that we can post on our website, we can get out on social media.
That's it. Thank you for your patience.
Did you pass that resolution?
We did.
Okay.
All right, there's nothing else, or concerns of trustees, concerns of the fiscal officer.
No, sir.
executive session. That'll take us to adjournment. I'm gonna move to adjourn at 9:10 a.m.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.